That was the sound of wonders when I was a kid. Like most other games I owned, I remember this one randomly appearing on my shelf one day. But little did I know at the time that this one would actually change my life. Upon opening this game, I was instantly pulled into its world. I was drawn to how every level was so detailed and vibrant. I flew through this game getting every star I could and eventually defeating Bowser. Since then, I've done this exact same thing multiple times, but I've never actually gotten everything. See, I did say I got everything I could, but as we've learned in previous installments, I'm really stupid. So, ready for my 10th-ish playthrough of the game, I booted it up, and yes, I'm playing on the Switch because it's a lot easier. I don't know, man, it's just easier to play on. I have really good timing. Much like every other Mario game ever made, this one begins with Bowser invading and taking Peach. Although this time he just rips the whole castle out of the ground and is like, yeah, I'm taking this. Mario attempts to stop this with the keyword attempts as he gives Team Rocket a run for their money. Somehow alive, Mario wakes up on this planet and meets the greatest Mario character ever made. And no, I am not biased. Why would you say that? Like what? Why? We are then given our Luma and head into the tutorial level, which, as you expect, is a tutorial level. I actually don't think this is a terrible level, considering it's a tutorial level, and actually does a pretty solid job at showing mechanics throughout this game. After grabbing the star, we are introduced to the Comet Observatory, which is our main hub world for this game. I much prefer the hub world in Galaxy 2, but like, come on, look, it's the plumber! But either way, with the first Grand Star now retrieved, we head into our first world, the Terrance. This world has 2 smaller galaxies along with 2 bigger ones, the first of which being Good Egg Galaxy. You really don't get a much more standard galaxy than this. This level is a great example of the level design they intend to use throughout this entire game. Differentiating from other Mario titles, this one has you going from planet to planet, exploring different sections of the level with every launch star you take. This all leads up to the boss at the end of the level, which, as you expect, was easy. He low-key a little guy though. Can't you see it? What? I am not crazy. The other main galaxy in this section is the Honey Hive Galaxy. As you would expect, this galaxy is fully themed around bees, and with that comes our first power-up in this game. Mario goes bee mode. This allows Mario to climb on walls made of honey and, other things. Bee lady, please stop doing that, stop! The 2 smaller galaxies in this section are both gimmick galaxies within themselves. The first involves surfing on the Stingray using motion controls, which is always super fun. The other involves you flipping these 3 sections of switches from blue to yellow. Yeah, that's literally the whole galaxy. I was surprised too. Before the boss of this section, there was really only one thing left. You might have noticed me collecting these things in the bottom corner called star bits. While these can be used on some levels to unlock secret things, I was saving them for one specific moment. Throughout the observatory outside most of the hub entrances, a Luma will spawn called the Hungry Luma. They require a certain amount of star bits before turning into a galaxy. So I fed them the star bits they wanted and headed into the sweet galaxy. Here's where it, along with every other level in this world, goes on the tier list. No questions will be heard at this time. Do not tell me. I'm not listening. This is my opinion. A unique part of the Galaxy games can be seen through their boss world fights. For all the odd worlds, Bowser Jr. will have his own special boss that shows up, and for the even worlds, you fight the evil guy himself. He's pretty cool. For World 1, you fight this really big robot, or as Bowser Jr. calls it, Mega Leg? For this boss, all you really need to do is walk up his legs, and honestly the hardest part of this boss is getting the Bullet Bills to follow you. But if you can effectively lead them, this boss isn't really hard at all. With the second Grand Star now recovered, the second area, the fountain, is now unlocked. This world layout is set up much like the previous one, with its first big galaxy being Space Junk Galaxy. This is the first galaxy so far that I would say stands a full tier above the rest. The design of this level is unlike any other throughout this entire game. This begins with the theme alone. This track provides a mystery for the world you're about to experience, and I think the level they give you reflects that perfectly. A majority of this level involves you using a new gimmick of the pull stars, which you just grab and pull you from space to space. This allows you to just pull yourself up to random things floating in the sky, exploring this almost abandoned galaxy all the way until you find your star. Anyway, enough raving about that level. Moving on to the other major galaxy here, Battle Rock Galaxy. There's one thing specifically I want to talk about in this galaxy, and that's the boss fight within this galaxy. This boss isn't actually that difficult, it's just a giant top that you can just spin into the electrical field around it and beat it pretty easily. Which you might be wondering why I decided to specifically bring it up then. Well, that's because his name is, I kid you not, Top Maniac. I mean, like, the joke writes itself. Like, Nintendo just cooked here. I don't have any no notes. It's perfect. This left the 2 small galaxies. And while the first wasn't really anything of note, the second did feature a new gimmick that I've had previous issues with. This gimmick involves rolling through a level on a ball using motion controls. I used to have an insane amount of problems when I would attempt to do this on the Wii. However, since this was done using a Pro Controller, however, I was able to complete it on my first try, leaving only the Hungry Luma left as the last non-Bowser level. This level features one of the last new mechanics within this game, which are the sticky slingshot slingshots. Yes, that is what I'm going to call them. You essentially use these to launch from one another all the way until you reach the end. Well, this is pretty simple overall. That didn't stop me from being stupid and missing. Yeah, I've done it again. All that remained for World 2 was the Bowser level, which is one of the ones where you actually fight him. The Bowser fights are overall decent in this game, but are still pretty simple boss fights overall. When Bowser jumps at him, you get him to land on these large blue spots, which will cause him to burn, and you can defeat him. Recovering the third Grand Star has illuminated the dark side of the observatory and unlocked the third world in this game, the kitchen. This is the last world that follows that same world structure, with the first major galaxy here being Beach Bowl. This galaxy is, fine. I might have gone into it with a bias already against it because I just think that water levels are not fun at all. While I really don't even like these levels in traditional 2D Mario games, the 3D aspect of trying to control them here does not feel great at all. However, I was able to rob a penguin here, so we will take the small victories. The other big galaxy here is Ghostly Galaxy. Like you would expect from the name, this is Galaxy's premier ghost level. Nothing super of note happens when this level, well, I guess except for the fact that Mario turns into a fucking ghost? Well, this power-up isn't the most fun power-up. I would say it works extremely well in my opinion though. In comparison to the Bee, which at points can feel super slow and clunky, the Ghost can move decently fast and allow you to reach certain areas that would have otherwise been impossible. The only thing that really holds it back for me is just this power-up never really gets used any. It gets used a few times more throughout the game, but I just wish it was used to its full potential. The first of the two small galaxies features this base where the star is located at the top. Simple Mario stuff. The other one features once again a new mechanic, this time being a bubble. Using motion controls, you move your cursor around to blow the bubble. Wait, no, that's not what I meant. Doing this, you'll steer through different obstacles and reach the ending of the star. This level isn't too bad as long as you're patient and careful with your movement. Two things that I am not. Fucking move, Mario! Time for another Hungry Luma, and this one's underwater. Are we serious? Just put it in F tier already. All that remains is a Bowser Jr. fight where you're fighting him on his airship. Pretty simple. Grab a shell, get ready, pop Caitlyn R, and light him up. Robbing the child of his Grand Star has unlocked another world. The bedroom. This world is the first world to change that previous precedent of world structure. This world instead has 3 bigger galaxies while only having 1 smaller one. It does start this new precedent off strong though, with our first galaxy, Gusty Garden Galaxy. If you've seen or heard anything about this game, it was probably about Gusty Garden Galaxy. Much like Space Junk, this is another one of those galaxies that you know is just going to be a banger by its music alone. While in the past, I used to think this galaxy was a bit overrated, this playthrough really changed my tune on that. I really think this galaxy is just a perfect example of what makes this game so good. This galaxy is able to build such a nice world upon itself with beautiful landscapes and portions of levels that flow together without many launch stars. And if I'm being honest, this isn't the only galaxy in this world that does a really good job at this. Right after this, you head into Freeze Flame Galaxy, which in its own right does a great job at creating a world. I've always been a big sucker for the fire and ice aesthetic, so I just instantly fell in love with this level. The only thing that ends up weighing these levels down is I just really don't like the fire and ice power-ups within these games. They added a time limit on these, which just makes sense to not keep it as your standard fire and ice power-up, but I just don't really like how they play. I kept getting my normal movement flow messed up, which would cause me to miss some jumps and just delay finishing the level. While I really didn't like using these power-ups all that much, it didn't really weigh on the majority of my level and I still really much enjoyed it. The final big galaxy here is Dusty Dune Galaxy. While I do think this level does a pretty good job at beating its own creative world, much like the previous two do, I just don't like how it plays that much. Unlike the last one where it was due to a power-up issue, I just really don't like how the level plays here. There were a lot of times I found myself having to go back through a level or go really slow through a section. Well, yes, this does sound very nitpicky, but it's just my overall feeling while playing through the level. That all being said though, I don't completely hate this level, and I still think it could be very fun at points and uses the gravity of these games very well. It's time for the small level, which is Honey Climb Galaxy. So if you had to guess what this level is, what do you think? Yeah, you're just the bee and you climb it up. And we're just gonna throw it on the tier list. You probably know how I feel on that. All that remained in World 4 was the Hungry Luma, which is a water level where you have to retrieve the golden shell. Yep. Bowser now learned the ability of Spinjitzu, but it wasn't nearly enough as I took him out for the second to last time. The top of the observatory has now been restored after Bowser misplaced another Grand Star. I headed to the engine room and into the first level, Gold Leaf Galaxy. All things considered, I actually think this galaxy is overall pretty good. It's a flipped version of Honey Hive from World 1, which I actually thought was a pretty cool concept. Now, on the other hand, the second star in this world does feature an old enemy of the channel. If you watched my Mario Kart video, you know I struggled on one specific track in that game, so when I saw this little blue guy, I got flashbacks. But luckily, we talked it out, put aside our differences, and I completed the galaxy. I still hate that guy. I'm not his friend. I will never be his friend. Next up was Sea Slide Galaxy, where I really didn't struggle until I needed to do the 3rd star. And I might be the woke. For this star, all you need to do is find the 5 silver stars to complete the main star you need. And I found the first 4 pretty quickly by moving around the map. I just couldn't find the last one. And as you're expecting, it was my own fault and stupidity on my part because it was just sitting on top of a tree and I didn't see it. Anyway, let's completely flip the script and to head into one of the best galaxies in the entire game. Toy Time Galaxy feels as it was ripped straight from a child's bedroom and put in the game. At least that's how this level always felt to me. All of the planets you travel to here are made up of different toys, and I also just think I prefer the galaxies that are super bright and colorful, which makes the amount of Overwatch I've played make sense. I'm sorry you had to see that. My favorite part of this entire level though is when you need to collect 5 silver stars on a Mario made of disappearing platforms. I think it's a very creative use of Galaxy's mechanics, and this has always been a huge standout level in my head. The small galaxy here was another water level, but it was more of like a boss fight where you fight this giant fish, so I actually didn't mind it all that much. In the Hungry Loom, I actually quite liked too because I was able to use the Boo power-up for about the 2nd time in this game. Not only that, but this level gave you 2 different options for how you could beat it, either using the Boo or the Bee power-ups, so I actually quite liked this level. Now, for the Bowser level in this world, I'm not the biggest fan at all. The boss is basically a giant octopus that spews both fireballs and these green coconuts. When he spews these coconuts, you just simply spew them back at him in order to defeat him. So why do I not like him? Well, that's because I've already went against this boss in the first fucking level of this game. I just really don't like the idea of using a normal level boss as a main boss of a world and really not changing that much about it at all. I think this can significantly weigh down the feeling of a world boss fight and make the world feel not as important as the others due to this lack of a big boss at the end of the world. This especially weighed down this world, which I think every level was actually good in, except for this final boss fight, which I did not enjoy and I don't think was a very good choice for a boss fight. Anyway, with him defeated, we unlock the final world of the game. The only difference between this world and the last one is there's no boss at the end of this world. Since this is the final world in the game, they're just assume you're gonna go take on the cool guy one last time. Before doing that though, 5 more galaxies remain, with the first being Deep Dark Galaxy. This might be the most impartial I've been on any galaxy so far. I really don't feel strongly one way or another. I like some ideas this galaxy has, like grabbing the power up to unlock this gate from another planet, but at the same time, this level just really isn't that fun to play. I know I'm probably the world's biggest hater when it comes to water sections, but this one wasn't that bad in my opinion, as it had a little effect on the actual level. Overall, my rating out of 10 is, fine. Escaping Deep Dark brings us to our next galaxy, Dreadnought. This galaxy is basically a giant ship that you explore different parts of in each star. I like the vibe that this level created on the first star I did. I almost felt as if I was infiltrating the ship, going from section to section until I eventually found the star. But there's one more thing specifically I want to talk about in this level, and that's the return of Top Maniac. Not only has he returned, but the level is called Revenge of the Top Man Tribe. There is just no way. They've done it again, and I can't believe they've done it. The final major galaxy in this game is Melty Molten Galaxy. While I don't enjoy this level nearly as much as its Fire and Ice counterpart, I still thoroughly enjoyed playing through this level. All 3 stars are honestly super fun levels to play through in their own right, as you have to navigate through this level that has just been engulfed with lava. For the final star, they actually did something that I'm a pretty big fan of, and that was to bring back the little guy. Okay, I know I sound like a hypocrite here, but I was mainly only complaining because that was a boss of a world, rather than just being a boss of a different level. I really don't mind it here at all. If I'm being honest, I kind of like the idea of the last level boss being the very first one you ever went against. I just think that does a really good job at fully wrapping up your playthrough of the game. This really only leaves the smaller galaxy and the Hungry Loom. The smaller galaxy was one that has a bunch of areas slowly revealed to you throughout playing the level. I'm usually not a fan of these auto-scroll type levels, but the way that you were following the path here really intrigued me. The Hungry Loom finished with the very first thing you ever do in this game, catching the bunnies, which I thought was a nice touch. Although I've talked about beating every level in this game, there's still some cleaning up to do as we don't have all the required stars we need yet. Every major galaxy features both a secret star along with a prankster comet. My favorite one of these is of course Top Maniac's Daredevil run. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll stop talking about the Top Maniac. I'm sorry, it's really funny to me. I don't know what you want. Along with that are some stars that are featured throughout the observatory. Well, I'm not going to go into detail about all of these because there's quite a few. There are a few I want to mention specifically. The first are the green star challenges that are unlocked after finding all 3 green stars. The 3 green stars aren't that difficult to find. One you unlock for saving Luigi, one is the secret star in Dusty Dune, and the final one is the secret star in Bowie Base? If I'm being honest, I had to look up where the green star was because I had no idea. I didn't realize there was a small star, a secret green star in a small galaxy. Anyway, back to the actual thing I was talking about. The green star challenges are basically more difficult levels of some of the earlier gimmicks. I actually did quite enjoy these levels as I've never played them before due to me never finding that star in Bowie Base. That being said, I did die way too many times on the bubble level. Yeah, I know. You don't have to say. The other important star in the observatory is a star that takes place in between worlds 5 and 6. This takes you back to the first area when you open the game, but are now charged with a new task. You are given this red star power-up, which gives Mario the ability to, take flight. With this, you must collect 100 purple coins in order to get your star. While this isn't too difficult to do, this is only the beginning. Because you see, after that, the only remaining stars in this game are the purple coin star. Every main galaxy features one of these levels, and they vary in difficulty from level to level. I did have one small problem, though. I didn't realize you have to beat the game before you unlock the purple coin star. So I heard the sentimental part in me and headed into Peach's castle. But you don't get to see that yet, because that's for the end. We're gonna pretend that I never played through that right now. And I will come back at the end of the game and it'll be like a big surprise. With Bowser defeated, these purple coin stars spawn, and I was able to run through most of them with ease. Most of them. This is gonna piss me off. With everything finally completed, it was time to put an ending on the story and defeat Bowser. I actually think this is a really good fight to end the game on. You move throughout the level, hitting world after world that represent different aspects of this game. This all leads up to the very end, where you have your final standoff with the evil man himself. As you would expect from any final boss, this one features multiple phases during the fight. First phase, Bowser was really inspired by some of these previous rocks, as he decided he's going to become one of them. It's pretty simple overall to beat him here, as you just need to time it correctly in order to actually take him down. His next phase is yet again another rolling phase, but instead he decides to ditch the rocks and just attack in his spike form. Here you just need to hit him with the green balloon thing. And from here, he'll be knocked out of that form and you can defeat. I wrote "you can defeat" into the script. I'm stupid. The next and final phase is the standard Bowser boss fight that you've already fought multiple times throughout this game. So just get him to set himself on fire and you've defeated the coolest, I mean evil guy himself. Although I like this fight overall, I wish he would have had more different phases throughout. Having all these phases be different versions of Bowser rolling at you just doesn't feel the same way as him attacking you in a different way would have. Recovering the final Grand Star, we grab Peach right as Bowser makes one final attempt to stop us by creating a black hole. However, just before we are sucked in, Rosalina steps in and saves us. In this almost pocket dimension, Rosalina explains about the circle of life for the stars. How eventually all the stars will die, turn into stardust. But using that stardust, they can become stars again. With one big caveat. This cycle never repeats in the same way. As Rosalina disappears, we cut back to where the story began. Back in the Mushroom Kingdom. Except things are different now. Just as Rosalina had foretold, the Mushroom Kingdom is now full of all the characters we had met throughout our journey. Thus, repeating the cycle. On this replay, I really enjoyed the game. Getting to play through some of the... What? What does that say? I have to play through the whole game as Luigi? Okay. Yeah, this is my big issue with this game. This is the reason I prefer 2 to 1. To fully beat this game, you need to play throughout the entire game again as Luigi. It's not even like they changed the levels or anything. You are just straight up playing through the entire game as Luigi. Like, you literally still save Luigi as Luigi. Like, what do you mean? Upon fully playing the game for a second time, you unlock what is the actual final level. Here, you explore the Mushroom Kingdom and the Castle Gardens one last time as you grab your final 100 purple coins. So anyway, back to my actual thoughts on beating this game. It was so incredibly enjoyable to play through some of these levels I've never gotten to play through before. These games are so unbelievably fun in my opinion. While these aren't my favorite for movement, the level design is just absolutely absurdly good in my opinion. So many levels are just perfectly designed and just are absolutely joy to play through. They make you excited to just go to the next level to find out what you're about to experience next. I'm not saying every level is perfect. By no means that every level is not perfect, but when a majority of levels are just this good and this fun to play, I cannot help but say it's not one of my favorite games ever made. If you're still watching at this point, like always, thank you. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And consider subscribing, and maybe I won't possibly procrastinate editing for like 2 months. But anyway, that's all from me now. Bye now. Bye forever now. I haven't got to say this in a while. Bye now. Bye forever now. Thanks. Come back. I hope you like Pokemon ZA, because that's all I'm going to be playing. Bye now. Bye.